recap. Peace and blessings, family. It is another episode at What's the 441. I'm so glad y'all tapping in, man. I've been a little MIA with my What's the 441, but I've been studying. I've been doing my notes. I've been keeping up with my presentation. So I got a bunch back there. I just got to present them. So we got a great one today. The sound quality might not be the best. Y'all forgive me. I'm sitting in the car, chilling out, hiding away from the families early in the morning before they get up. We're going to get this work. Y'all travel with me. I'm your ancestral, and I said that on purpose, even though I'm your astral tour guide. I'm your ancestral tour guide because the ancestors, they tap into all of us, especially the ones that listen. And on a day like today is a real special day, and it's not just because it's Thanksgiving. They've kind of aligned Thanksgiving with this day because it's a special day. And you have Thursday, was the third Thursday of this month, this 11th month. It represents an awakening period. And it represents a time where you should be going into yourself and you should be learning about yourself. And I know we all get together and hang out on Thanksgiving and eat a lot of food and have fun on Thanksgiving. And, do what makes you happy. But we want to begin to align ourselves with the nature so that we can continue to stay connected to source. You know what I'm saying? So everybody went out and bought a bunch of food, bunch of this, bunch of that. And they're going to eat a bunch of food, fill their body up with unnecessary products at a time where it is an awakening. The awakening is very apparent when it comes to Sagittarius. Sagittarius' season is here. This is Western astrology, but you also have the Thursday, which is supposed to be controlled by Jupiterian energy, Sagittarius, and a little bit of Pisces. But Sagittarius is what we're focusing on, the awakening. And even if you want to talk about Pisces, Pisces is also the connection. It's just a little more direct to the love channel. And it's a little more beautified. But Jupiter, all the same energy. Jupiter just went direct on the 23rd, which was yesterday. So this is an amazing moment in astro news. So let's get into it, family. We're going to talk about Black Moon Lilith. And Black Moon Lilith is connected to your shadow. You know what I'm saying? The shadow that is always walking behind you. The shadow that is always wanting to come out of the shadows, but forced into a place where it needs to stay reserved. So I want to break down the essence of the Black Moon Lilith. I think I spelled Lilith wrong over there too, but anyway, I want to express the importance of utilizing the shadow work in connection to this Lilith. And a lot of times you're able to channel an understanding based on where the placement of these degrees and these planets, these asteroids, these suns and the moons, all these different placements give you a direct understanding to your genetic makeup, your DNA encoding. So let's get to our first slide. Where is your shadow? So if you can peep the little diagram, we got Earth over here on the left, and you got the moon orbiting around the Earth. But you see that dark space in the black circle right there, that is representative of your Black Moon Lilith. And the Black Moon Lilith is pretty much, like I was saying, your shadow. So it's the moon shadow. It's the furthest space away from Earth and excuse me, Earth and the Lilith is further than Earth and the moon, and it's kind of out of view of the moon. So the moon is shining on Earth, and off to the left would be its shadow following it. So whatever lines up and calculates as far as your birth chart, that is what is representative of your shadow. And your shadow can be very intense. You can have a very troubled time if you don't understand how to utilize your black moon. So let's get into the next slide. So I just looked this up on Google and it took me to Cafe Astrology. I wanted to get some different aspects that can help us relate this topic. So in your natal chart, where Lilith is by sign, house, and aspect, is where you may have felt ashamed, shamed, ridiculed, stifled, deeply misunderstood, or repressed in some manner. For whatever reason, you are weary of expressing those traits or parts of your personality freely and apologetically, and you can feel quite uncomfortable with people who are doing so. There can also be a binging and purging cycle involving with the traits of Lilith signs or house, wherein we overdo or go all out expressing these traits in extreme, then feel bad for doing so. This leads to a purging stage in which we reject or deprive ourselves of the traits. Eventually, the need for them is strong and we can go to extremes again, perpetuating these self-destructive cycles. So that seems to be a very intense roller coaster ride. That's Cafe Astrology. Next slide. Practical uses for Lilith. So why are we involving our time in Lilith? Why are we trying to figure out Lilith? Well, first of all, it's great object to point your shadow work into. You can begin building shadow work. You can begin building on your shadow work by looking at your chart. You can look at your chart. What is your black moon Lilith in? What is it involved in? We'll get into a little bit of each sign in the end of the presentation. If you don't want to wait, just skip through and get to that part. We're going to have a small little breakdown. But practical uses also can be learning to deal with your partner's dark side, because you could lose empathy for one person if you don't understand their core self. And to understand their core self is to definitely understand one's shadow. So you would most certainly want to invest some time in learning your partner's Lilith if you have a partner, because they're going to impede this energy onto you at some form or fashion throughout your lifetime. And sometimes it could be intense. Sometimes you can dislike this energies, and you might need some type of constructive way to curb the influence of that Lilith, or to brace the energy of that Lilith. You know what I'm saying? So kind of just help them with cohesiveness in a partnership. Also, you can use Lilith to learn your kids' obsessive habits and help them understand how to deal with their self at young ages. Ultimately, the Lilith can point to your strongest gifts. You see Maleficent in the background. She is a great representative of what Lilith can be in a motion picture visual for how a person can be scorned and why they can be scorned and go into the dark side. So it's always a reason behind one being dark. And I'm not gonna say always, but in some form or fashion, there's a understanding once you get to a level of the character. You can figure out, oh, so this is when they begin to lose empathy, or this is when they begin to harness their dark traits, or this is when they begin to do this based off of this. So Maleficent was in the movie. Uh, she had wings. She was in the fairy tale land, and off to the other side there was the big bright castle and the European men with a bunch of warriors, bunch of riches inside the castle, blah blah blah. So one of the rich kids, he would venture off into the fairy land and enjoy Maleficent's time and energy. They were great friends as kids. So as kids, they would enjoy their time. They didn't know no better. They didn't know that they were two different people. And as they got older, the boy from the castle, he betrayed Maleficent. He showed the people that he lived with where Maleficent and her friends lived. He got them to cut her wings off so that she can lose her power, and they returned to the castle with the power. So her waking up, she was deeply, deeply hurt, deeply, deeply saddened to find out that she was robbed of her gifts and she was not able to express herself the same anymore. So she went into a dark rage. She went to the castle, casted spells on women. She made it so that the baby was cursed. She did a lot of different things. So when you think about Lilith, this movie, Maleficent, is a great depiction of what we're trying to talk about. So just like her, she went through painful realizations of who she was as a shadow and how much power she really obtained in her depths of despair and her depths of destruction. She learned the quality of life as well, and she put those things together, and she learned how to cultivate in a different fashion. So check that movie out and see what we're saying. Next slide, y'all. Okay, this is astro.com. I pulled up a few mythologies to see what they wanted to portray in their speech. You know, each culture has a breakdown and an understanding of what each energy or what said personifications mean. So this is Lilith first appears as a female demon or group of demons in Babylonian mythology. Harmful female spirits supposedly seduced unsuspecting men in their sleep, harmed women in childbirth, and stole babies from their cradles. Jewish folklore adopted some of these Babylonian myths of the she-devil, identifying Lilith as the first Eve and wife of Adam. Rather than being formed from Adam's rib, she was an equal partner, and from the very beginning there was great competition between the two of them. When making love, they both insisted on lying on top, and because neither was willing to compromise, Lilith abandoned paradise. She broke another taboo by daring to speak the unmentionable name of God. God then sent 3 angels demanding her return, but she refused, continuing her evil career as the mother of hundreds of demons. Lilith persisted in Jewish lore through the Middle Ages, in the demonology of the Kabbalah, and in the folk practices of the people who used protective amulets to ward off Lilith's evil doings. Her story spread to Christianity, and she appears to work of Dante, Hugo, and Goethe. Hardly any other mythological figure has been demonized by patriarchal cultures to the same extent as Lilith. In response, some spiritual branches of feminism have idealized Lilith as a figure of female emancipation and rebel against patriarchal suppression. So, that's a mouthful to say Lilith is a bad little bitch. Next slide. Okay, so this is in the jwa.org. This is the Jewish Women Archive Encyclopedia. And I found information on Lilith throughout. But Lilith in the Kabbalah became a figure of cosmic evil in medieval Kabbalah. The 13th century treatise on the left emanation. She became the female consort of Samuel, the great demon of the alphabet of Ben Sirah, was given the name of Samuel. According to earlier Midrashim, he had seduced the serpent to evil in the Garden of Eden, and he was long identified as the angel of death and the guardian angel of Rome. In the treatise on the left emanation, Samuel and Lilith emanated together from beneath the throne of glory as a result of the sin of the first humans in the gardens of Eden. Their mythology characteristics were further developed in the Zohar. There, Lilith and Samuel emanated together from one of the divine powers, the Sephirah of Gethra, and that's strength. In the side of evil, the Sithra Athra, the other side, they correspond to the holy divine female and male. Just as the side of holiness, so on the other side, there are male and female included one with the other. Lilith attempted intercourse with Adam before the creation of Eve, and after the creation of Eve, she fled, and ever after has plotted to kill newborn babies. She dwells in the city of the sea, and at the end of the day, God will make her dwell in the ruins of the Rome. The Zohar Lilith demonic sexuality comes especially to the fore. She attempts to seduce men and use their seed to create bodies for her demonic children. The Zohar recommends the performance of a special ritual before sexual intercourse between husband and wife, in which the husband should turn his mind to God and say, "Veiled in velvet are you here, loosened, loosened, be your spell." I'm not going to read all of that because that's like that is like a spell. But next slide. So all that was a mouthful to say that this is a mystical energy and has many different mythological tales. The root meaning tied to her is that she has undeveloped gifts disguised as very, very bad habits, and has to live with such habits that can inhibit her actions around others. She learns that these habits are unavoidable and learns to use them as her advantage. Add some beauty to her habits, and she runs the play. So what's that sound like, family? You know what I'm saying? We got all these beautiful mythologies. We're going to have our own mythology. So Kisha from the hood. Kisha from the hood, beautiful little kid, church-going child, a lot of spirit in her family. Her family is very, very deep. So maybe at a young age she was molested or raped because her sexual energy was so protruding that it magnetized other people. So Kisha learns at an early age that her sexuality is very important. And the older and older she gets, the more she is in tune with this, because the older she gets, the more magnetized she becomes by other people and men. So men objectify her, and she ends up at a strip club making a lot of money, seducing a lot of men. And she learns a lot of different tricks and trades because she knows that most men only want a little bit of sex, a little bit of this, and she can tease them, and she can give them all kind of desired fantasies, and she can choose what level of the fantasy she can indulge in. She can go all the way because she loves to be involved, or she can just tease just to be a naughty little person. So at some point, she gets to a level where a tragic happening occurs around this stripper lifestyle, this seduction lifestyle, all this karmic energy being built up. Something bad is bound to happen. So she walking out of the strip club, got a lot of money, talking on the phone. She gets mugged, she gets molested, raped, and she gets robbed. Very, very damaging to her spirit, her stride. She has to rethink her lifestyle. And now her lifestyle is compromised based on the things she was involving herself in. She now sees the dangers of what she was doing, what she was involved in, and now she has learned to use her sexuality in a more spiritual notion. She has now learned to harness her sexuality in a ability to care for others and heal others. She can use that as a spirit to heal in another dynamic. Excuse me. So that's Kisha. That's the mythology of Lilith, because as she develops her sexuality, you ultimately learn that sex is not a game. Sex is not to be played with. Oh, excuse me. Sex is something that you harness in a spiritual manner, and you can use these things in very, very practical ways in your day to day, but you can't abuse the gift, because the a gift that you're abusing, you're using it in the wrong context and in the wrong light. Lilith has a very, very sexual deviancy to her energy. So the undertone to most of these shadow work signs is some type of sexual energy, like deviancy, and it's just a different undertone based on the sign. And maybe we'll touch base on that, or maybe we should have like a whole video on sexual bad habits. But pretty much, she's the good girl turned bad. Now she gets her way, but as she went bad, she loses some of her reputation, and then she has to make up for it later on to gain the respect of others again and trust of others again. And she might even slip back into that stripper lifestyle and that fast money, but she has to remain balanced and understanding that, okay, you are sanctified. And I'll say sanctified just to say that your spirit is your sex. Next slide. So your shadow can be very scary and it needs to be checked. That's a very true statement. Sometimes you can be overwhelmed at what arrives at your front door when we are speaking about shadow work. You have to check yourself. A lot of times you have to be very aware. So this is just a little list. Just let's go over this and see what we think. Your shadow on daily check-ins with yourself. Continued meditation and developmental chores to remain of your purest self, especially amongst others. Self-aware by way of loved ones expressing how you may be towards them. Access to journals and safe zones to express unpleasant thoughts or expressions. Understand why you may do or say things negatively. Generate therapy sessions to genuinely know and understand you. Gain comfort in expressions, self in a socially mannerable fashion. So you want to coexist pretty much. So shadow work is necessary, and these shadows have to be checked by yourself. You have to give yourself the ability to look in the mirror, develop an understanding, and go from there. Because I know for me, shadow work is difficult. Because you got to look at yourself and you got to be like, man, I ain't perfect. I got to tighten the fuck up. But I say it's therapeutic, man. You to tell the truth is therapeutic. Telling the truth makes me feel good. Even if it's something that's not pleasant, I've learned at an early age that just telling the truth feels very good. Because when you lie about something, it does not feel well. It's something in your spirit. Next slide. All right. Shadow work through the signs. Let's get it. We got the signs broken up into fours: fire, earth, air, and water in sections of threes. So the first section is all about the self. And the objective in these four signs is to deal with self and understand self, develop yourself amongst others, and begin a family. A lot going on with Aries through Cancer. So just as a shadow work expectation, Aries is very selfish. They have very mean ways. They can be mean on purpose. They are naive because they're the first sign. They don't know everything, but they feel like they do. You know how your kids think they know everything. They just growing up bumping into everything. Like, see, I told you. I told you. Aries is kind of like that. Everything is a competition. Quick to start a project, but not necessarily finish it. Gotta finish your projects, Aries. This is very, very apparent in the shadow work of the black moon, Lilith. And ultimately, Aries needs to learn self-confidence through experience. And the experience is the key, because as they develop themselves and they learn what they're capable of through experience, they get a confidence about themselves, and they can begin to be more radiant and be more professional as far as shining light on others, so they won't be as selfish. Okay, Taurus. Taurus can be a glutton. They're very needy for physical pleasure, can be harmful with overdoing these pleasures. And if you know anything about a Taurus, they will do it till they satisfied. Do you hear me? The gluttons, man, I'm not talking bad about y'all. Y'all just love to be physically pleased. And I always think to myself, the most sexual sign is a Taurus based on these aspects. They're the sign that's physically enduring. They love physical pleasure. And they need to learn how to channel their bold energy in appropriate targets. So they have a lot of powerful energy, and they can be glutton, but glutton can be turned into doing something, not overdoing it, but doing something so well that you have a channeled target and you're able to achieve those targets at will. So you put a target up, just like the bull, you can face that target and you can go head on with it. No distractions. And if you're being obsessive about that target, it'll be a plus if you're dealing with something that's positive, like a business. So if you overdo it in the business office, that just means you might make a little more money. You know what I'm saying? So keep that in mind. Gemini, very harsh with words, foul mouth, little Bama. Manipulative in their actions, very manipulative in their actions, especially words. So they manipulate with the wording and the way they say things. And they can be smokers, cigarette smokers, weed smokers, whatever the heck. They like to be up and up, like the drug use, maybe pill popper. They might have an issue with, obsessive drug use. Needs to learn how to use social skills to connect and inform. So you have this foul mouth, you have this direct way of saying things. So you want to develop the way that you speak. You don't want to just say things very quickly and brashly. You need to work on your Mercury, and you want to develop yourself to a point where you're able to constructively connect with others. Because other people need to know and learn the things that you know, because Gemini is a powerhouse for learning. Black Moon especially, they like to learn a lot. Oh, excuse me. They like to know a lot. So Shadow can be harnessing all this information and not sharing it, not giving it to others. Like, ooh, I know all this. I don't want nobody else to know. I'm a da 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 da. But it's very apparent that you have to harness your social skills, and you want to objectify yourself in a way where you're able to socially. I don't want to say please, but it's pretty much socially being socially pleasing. You know what I'm saying? Cancer. Cancer can be clingy and delusional, at times afraid to try new things that are away from their familiarity, because they're so excited with their house, and they're so excited with the things that they know from home. They know that their mother's going to do this. They know that when they get home, they can do this. They know that when they get to the neighborhood, there's going to be this. It's the familiarity for Cancer, and the familiarity can get you in a delusional state where you only see what you want to see. And they need to channel the things that they want to see into their future. So they need to blend the things that they want to see into the physical. And the physical can be challenging for Cancer because it changes. So Cancer can get clingy to one thing, but they need to always remain open to new ways. And the new ways can always be channeled through their dreaminess. They have an ability to create their own world. But if they do not include the physical aspects and logistics of the world, they might be upset with what they create. So that's a shadow work necessity for Cancer. Next slide. Okay. We're in the middle of it now, y'all. We got Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio. So this is the middle section, and this is the section of the astro where you're learning your power. You're learning to develop your power. You're learning to stabilize your power, keep your power clear of mess, and ultimately transform it when it needs to be transformed. So you got Leo at the top of that list, fire sign, and Leo can be flaky. They can be lazy. They can lack confidence also, and they call on pity parties, never accepting their blame. So this is very, very apparent in Black Moon Lilith. And if you're noticing this pattern, the pattern is pretty much, if you have a Black Moon Lilith in a particular sign and a particular house, I haven't even talked about the houses yet, so your house influences this as well. But if you have it in a particular sign, that just means it brings out the excess bad habits of that said sign. You know what I'm saying? So when we're talking about Leo, they don't take the blame because they want the shine. They want to be accepted in a positive light, and they only want to deal with things that help them build their confidence. So if somebody's blaming them for doing something wrong, that doesn't build their confidence, and it really destructs their delusion. But they need to channel their inner self and feed from source. They need to remain self-confident, because self-confidence comes from just knowing that you are that person. You are that one. And Leo is representative of the sun. So the sun wakes up in the morning and it don't say, man, I think I'm the shit. Man, I don't know if I can grow all this. I don't know if I can raise up and do it again. The sun just gets up and raises up. They shine light on everybody. They give energy to everybody and everything. So that flakiness has to be resolved in having the understanding that confidence comes from yourself, not from what other people are saying all the time. You can take constructive criticism and you can work it into your own confidence bag. You know what I'm saying? So Leo, you just keep that in mind with the shadow work. Virgo, they can be self-contained and conceited. They can be concerned with vanity or prestige, often missing the depths of reality. And Virgo is a type of energy that does things repetitively. They build in the house of the sixth house, so everything is daily functions. So you get into a repetitive notion with Virgo, but they can be in this black moon. They need to check their conceit because sometimes they have the apt to think that they're perfect. Virgo strives to be perfect because they're a purification. But sometimes Virgo can be delusional to think that they are perfect or need to be perfect. If they're not perfect, they're hard on themselves. Excuse me, y'all. I just woke up. All I had was water this morning, and the digestive is still disrupting. Sorry. Anyway, but it needs to align their actions into serving others and the future of humanity. So pretty much focusing on some other shit than yourself, some other shit than them selfies. Put the selfies away, Virgo. We don't want to see no more selfies. It's like we love Virgo. Virgo is a beautiful, beautiful sign, and they love to be seen as that. But they need to check their vanity, and they need to know that there's other depths that need to be reached. Align yourself some way so that you can serve others and that you can be humanitarian towards this life in this world that is very, very strange and it's getting more and more messed up sometimes. I don't know if we talking it up or if it's really happening. But this world is crazy, y'all. Libra. They're biased with their choices and will go to uncomfortable levels to please or be a part of a particular crowd. Unable to distinguish friends from foes. So Libra has the very hard task of dealing with other people. So they lean on what other people are saying about them. They lean on being accepted to other people's crowds. They lean on the ability to connect with everyone. They want to have that connection some way, somehow with somebody, everybody, anybody. You know what I'm saying? So they get distracted and they lean into a relationship or a person that might not be particularly good for them. And it can be a bite in the ass because it's not genuine and it hurts them ultimately because that person is talking down on them all the time or not seeing their true beauty in them and they're just using them for a pawn or whatever. So they need to allow purification of false narratives to bring a voice of reason. So that pretty much is saying that you need to cut out the voices in your head that are coming from other people and you want to bring your own narrative of balance and your judgment will become clearer and your ability to be the voice of reason will be right there for you. You can be the judge. You know what I'm saying? Because people look to you for advice, especially Black Moon and Libra. They look for you to tell them what to do sometimes. But they can also abuse your ability to do so. So you have to be very balanced with giving judgment and balanced with giving your energy. So we're off to Scorpio. Scorpio is, I'd say, the ruling sign of this Lilith, but they're very vindictive. They have the reckless pursuit of things. When they think there's something that belongs to them, they will pursue theirs until they get it. They can play the victim role, often using others for what can be gotten out of them. So Scorpio uses others to get what they want. The Black Moon Lilith. They can be vindictive. They can do a lot of different things in essence to gain what they want. And what they're really trying to do is transform into their next level. So they think by getting something else from someone else will give them that next edge, when really you need to allow transformation to guide into new depths. So a lot of times you'll see that Scorpio is changing up. A lot of things change up with Scorpio, and you just need to allow the changes to give you your rites of passage. Other people don't have your rites of passage. You have your rites of passage, and you can manifest anything that you want, and you can transform anytime that you need. Get rid of the things that don't work, and you can keep the things that do work. That's called transformation. So keep that in mind, Scorpio Liliths. Next slide. Okay, shadow work through the signs. We getting through it. This is the last 4 of them, y'all. This section is like the developmental. This is like I think it's undergrad. Like when you graduate and then you go to school again. This is this section. So this is the last section to be like, all right, are you sure you good? Because you about to take off into the astrals. After the astrals, there's no turning back. So you're getting all of your knowledge. You're harnessing all of your energy. You've harnessed all your energy to transform. Now you're harnessing it to learn, awaken. You're going to use your tools, sharpen your tools, and then you're going to open up your love chakra and take off like a rocket. R.I.P. Takeoff. Sagittarius, they have an instigative spirit. They can be manipulative to gain the things they desire, often at others' expense. So this is kind of similar to Scorpio. We just come off of Scorpio, but they have that same vibe. So Sagittarius will get theirs. They will get what they want, get what they need. And sometimes it can be at the expense of others. It's not the same as taking from others. So a Sagittarius might be up for a job, and it's another person up for a job. This is just a bad habit, Black Moon Lilith example. This is not every Sagittarius. This is not anybody with a Sagittarius. I'm just saying. So Black Moon Sagittarius knows that there's somebody else up for the job, and they find out that they might be the ones that get it. So Black Moon Lilith and Sagittarius will give the other person in the break room, give them a coffee. It's got some X-Lax in it. Make them have to go to the bathroom. Make them comfortable in the interview and forget what they're supposed to do. Maybe even miss the interview because they had to use the bathroom. So the Sagittarius thinks they get the job based off of them missing the interview. Boom. That's the type of energy Sagittarius can be on. Not to single y'all out, but there's a lot of Sagittariuses in Hollywood. Anyway, needs to allow perspective to become vast and to keep an open mind. Allow truth to set you free. So, like I said, that instigative spirit and the manipulative energy, that needs to be nipped in the bud in your shadow work. And you need to allow the perspective of others, the perspective of somebody else that might get the job and you might not get it. You need that perspective to set in and understand that you don't always get everything. Maybe it's your turn to get something next time. So allow the truth to set you free. Capricorn, so they have a vain approach to life. This black moon assumes authority over others with force at times. And the vain approach can be like kind of like Virgo, that Virgo vibe, but they're more interested in collecting things and like I got this type of stuff and I need this, and every time you go to the store they need something to buy, something, they gotta have something. It tearing them up if they don't get something out of this physical world, because Capricorn rules the physical. So if you have a Lilith in Capricorn, they just want something physical. They don't really care about the depths. They want something physical. Give me the new Maserati. Give me the new iPhone. Give me the new this and that. You know what I'm saying? But they need to allow room for the unseen and the supernatural to evolve their ability to maintain their authority, because it's so beloved to them. They love authority. But in order for you to understand everything, the realms of the unseen and supernatural have to be calculated into your equation so that you can keep authority over, you know, the things that you want to lead. So that you got to know a little bit about the supernatural, man, the Cancer side of life, the dreamy side of life. So you can't be so vain and you can't think that you're always the one in charge. You always know everything. Tone it down, Cap. So we're getting into Aquarius. And Aquarius is detached and cold. They can be towards others and people that are close to them. They can be very random. They can be destructive and can be stuck in their own world. So Aquarius has the problem with cutting people off, man. Not trusting nobody, not letting nobody get near you, not wanting to understand other people's worlds, because Aquarius is here to be a humanitarian, but a lot of times they're not one of the world because they're so far in the future thinking of ways to heal the world or do something for the world. They can't connect with the day-to-day people of this world, but it's helpful for them to connect with the people of this world. Aquarius is like that engineer that's up in the office creating all kind of shit, but they don't never come to the field to see how it really works. So if they get too creative in that damn office of theirs, they can't develop something that will be futuristic for the field. It'd just be some junk that don't work. But if they balance themselves out and go down into the field, learn some things with the people, mingle with the people, they can go back to their office and construct something that is good. So they need to connect to others, allowing love to fill their heart with contentment. So that's why I was saying, you go down there with the people and you enjoy the people. You hang with the people and you learn some things about the people, and you come back into your office and you be Dr. Jekyll and do your thing. So we got Pisces in the last sign. Pisces, they have grandeur delusions that can affect their ability to handle reality, and they can be an emotional wreck. This sounds very similar to Cancer, but the difference is their ability to handle reality. It can be overwhelming to them. They can have an emotional standpoint that can stagnate their progress. So the grandeur delusions come from their wanting and needing to move to the next side of this world, and whatever's on the other side of this world, they're willing and ready to get the hell on to it. So those grandeur delusions are not just wild delusions. They come from a specific space, but they're not of Earth, and they're hard to explain on Earth. You know what I'm saying? So Pisces can get deep into their vision, and their vision can sometimes block them from finishing the race. You know what I'm saying? You know how when you're running the lap and you getting excited that you about to finish it, you forget to speed up, so you slowing down because you thinking about how excited you are to take the pictures for the first place. Next thing you know, somebody done sped up behind you, and you done slowed up too slow where you done lost first place. Now you second place. You don't wanna get too caught up in the you know what I'm saying, in the delusion. It's not really a delusion because you see it already. You about to be first place in this race, but you've gotten a little too ahead of yourself, and now you're about to lose your place. So stay in the moment, finish your race. Once you get to the end of the race, you're gonna enjoy every bit of that camera footage and that victory lap. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace, Nip. So they need to spiritually balance to handle reality and their visions and mesh them into one beautiful view. So that one beautiful view is the reality of you running this race. You can't stop to take pictures. But when it's time to take pictures, you enjoy picture taking time. You feel me? And that's the end of the slides, family. I think we out of there, man. Y'all be blessed. And y'all be good. I'm glad y'all tapped in. We did the Black Moon Lilith. What's the 441? I'm your astral tour guide, 33rd eye. I'm with the ancestors. Y'all be blessed, man. Y'all see that date? It's November the 24th, man. Go awaken today. Don't eat a bunch of food. Eat some food. One.